Why do we perceive a well-developed upper chest and shoulders to be aesthetic in men? Hey everybody, I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And this is a topic I've covered in the past, but it's one of those that is really interesting from a biology perspective, and it's some things that we've noted. Because one of the things that a lot of experts have noted over the years, like biologists who look at androgen receptor count from a hormonal perspective, is that androgen receptors, which is again the receptor that testosterone binds to, there are more of them in some muscles than in others. And most specifically, what was found over 20 years ago is that the androgen receptor count is higher in our upper chest and our shoulders, meaning our deltoids or trapezius, all of those muscles. And the same thing we see usually with heavily enhanced bodybuilders. Those areas oftentimes grow disproportionately, even if their training is balanced. So in other words, all the stuff that they're taking, which again binds to the androgen receptor, their testosterone derivatives, tend to cause a slightly disproportionate growth in that area. And we also, when we look at different historic depictions, classic aesthetics, things like that, we tend to develop a viewpoint of well-developed shoulders and upper chest and all that is a big part of classic aesthetics, along with that with things like the shoulder to waist ratio, the V-taper, all of that. But it is noted that that is the case. And so it starts to beg the question, why are we seeing it that way? And it's because biologically it appears to be a sign of virility. Okay. Now, obviously, people say, well, yeah, because of the testosterone, so it would make sense that we perceive it that way. But it also, we have to ask the question, why did this develop to begin with? And that's the interesting question. Well, when you look back historically, we didn't always interact with other tribes up close if we were scouting an area out, unless we were coming and communicating with them. And we're talking going back thousands, if not millions of years. Again, all the way before humans in their current state even existed, right? So we scouted stuff out from a distance. So different tribes and groups of people saw them off at a distance. And there are things that we've noticed even about breast development that may be a factor in some of this too. But specifically, we're talking about men. So that silhouette or that shape is what we saw at several hundred meters, right? Half a kilometer away, you were seeing that shape off at a distance. And so the men in tribes that had wider shoulders, people didn't want to necessarily mess with them as much because they perceived them from a distance as being bigger, right? Wide shoulders means you look bigger. Smaller shoulders means you just look smaller, particularly that up top look, what you're going to see at longer distances. So what ended up happening, because it became a potential survival trait, like maybe people were less likely to come attack your tribe. They were less likely to come in the night, try to steal your resources, try to steal your women, everything else. Because again, you go back 1,000,000 years ago, 200,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago. How do people think that oftentimes tribes reproduced and increased their genetic diversity? Well, oftentimes that meant they just went and kidnapped the women, or they kidnapped children to raise as their own. That appears to have been a thing all through human prehistory, right? Again, growing the size of their tribe. So, healthy children, healthy women, go snag them up in the night. So again, if you were perceived as intimidating, other groups are less likely to pull that sort of stuff because, man, they're bigger and stronger. We don't want to go risk it and pick a fight with them. Okay? So biologically, it became an advantage to have that situation occur. Again, just less likely to be attacked, to be messed with, have your resources taken. Right? You were more intimidating. And the same thing when they got in closer. Wider shoulders meant the men were more intimidating, more imposing, because they looked bigger. So, they didn't necessarily have to be bigger overall, because obviously those aren't the biggest muscles in the body. But again, it's that peacocking, that ability to puff up more, right? Just like you see that with a lot of other species, the ability to stave off attacks or predators. And it would be the same for predators as well, not just other humans. Okay? Look, if you look bigger, less likely to be attacked and eaten. So it became a biological advantage for us to obtain a little more muscle and be wider and thicker in those areas, irrespective of lifting weights or not. And I think particularly, when we're dealing with humans who are much smaller than lighter, didn't have access to the same food, starvation's an issue. So it's the only tissue they're really going to put on there is going to be muscle. They're not gaining fat or anything. So again, what we see in men, the wider collarbone, bigger shoulders, and those shoulders have to do partially with the way testosterone affects those areas. So then what does that then mean later on? It means we're biologically then ingrained to see wide shoulders, big wide shoulders, as a sign of masculinity, a sign of virility, a sign of male dominance, right? Because it'd be the same thing as far as other stuff goes, intimidation within a group or a tribe. Those men are more likely to be the leaders just because they're going to be perceived as stronger. They're going to be perceived that way. And they very well may have been, of course, because you got more muscle up top in some of those areas. It might matter. But it's that perception. So what is that carried over for us? Well, we see it as more masculine. Okay? And for a lot of women, in some cases, there could be a biological tendency, at least historically in tribal life, as a stronger male. Better provider, better protector of her, better protector of her children, possibly giving her stronger children. So there could be, at least some biological drive towards that to perceive it as more attractive in a mate. Okay? So again, we have to understand that our viewpoints of how we view things in the human body, in terms of aesthetics, attractiveness, everything else, have a historical biological basis. Right? And of course, we can work with that when we're looking at our training and stuff also. One reason I tell people focus on those areas if you want to improve aesthetics. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.